All right, here we go. Hey guys, here recording episode number 4 with my first guest on my podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
There it goes. Okay, I think the light is on, so we're gonna get recording. Pull that up. Hey guys, welcome to episode number 4 of A Better Way to Heal podcast. I am here with Veronica, also known as V, Tearney. She is a college strength and conditioning coach with a passion for health and wellness. Growing up in Canada, she participated in several sports before settling into track and field. This sport would eventually shape her life and fuel her interest in fitness and nutrition, as she sought to improve her athletic physique. During her career as a fitness enthusiast and coach, Veronica has also written fitness and nutrition articles for a variety of publications and strives daily to inspire a healthy, balanced lifestyle for her student athletes, clients, husband, and children. Her endeavors can be found on her website at www.liviafit.com. So welcome, Veronica. I'm going to call you V because I'm so used to calling you V. It's hard for me to
Please call me V because I'm not even used to hearing Veronica anymore. So
I just thought I'd keep it professional.
That's okay. Yeah.
So you've had an amazing career in fitness and health. So tell us, even more about your past and what you're up to these days.
Sure. So, track athlete in college, all the way through high school, track athlete in college. Tried to do the professional thing after college. That didn't last too long. But after that, when I was trying to find myself, when I was working as a personal trainer, one of my coworkers, who was also a trainer, was just like, he could tell that I needed to compete at something, that I was just training, but like not knowing what I was training for.
Yeah.
And so he turned me on to the whole world of bodybuilding. And 6 months later, I was doing my first figure competition.
Nice.
So, and I loved it. Like I never thought that would be me whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I love the challenge of it. I love the discipline of it. Mm-hmm. For years, growing up, I struggled with my own physical appearance and identity. So I saw it as a challenge for myself to finally look the way that I had envisioned and wanted to. Mm-hmm. So that kind of propelled me just in a more nutrition, fitness minded awareness, and really kind of started to increase my I always loved fitness, but also really increased my knowledge of nutrition, and absolutely. Then just my perspective of nutrition as well. So I never really stopped personal training. I always had clients on the side, whatever job I was in. This was just another aspect that added to my repertoire, so to speak.
And doing a show like that, you really had to be very honed in on everything.
Yes.
Probably you counted macros, you counted calories.
Yes. I had a scale at one point. I was measuring food. So,
so do you, because I know I have my own personal experience with some of that with running, but did that cause any issue, like control issues with your eating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely, as great as it was, I think revamping my whole diet, even when I wasn't training or for a competition, it also at some point became almost obsessive, and I didn't know how to. I learned how to get in shape. I didn't know how to come out of that and live a normal eating lifestyle that wasn't as strict as competing. So I do remember there was one year where I competed in back-to-back shows, and each competition I placed worse and worse. And I had judges. I actually had some strangers reach out to me and just kind of like, you don't seem like you're yourself on stage. You seem low energy. You seem kind of down. And talking to some other fitness competitors, and they were just like, you sound burnt out, you don't sound happy. And that's when I took a real internal look at myself and just realized, I'd been dieting too long, because it was a stretch of like 5 or 6 months of competitions, and that's a big toll on your system, because bodybuilding figure competitor diet when you're training for a competition is not ideal for healthy living.
Sustainable lifestyle.
It's not at all. So I kind of hit
Yeah.
rock bottom and had to reassess myself and reassess my goals, and just kind of be like, hey, you're not competing anymore right now. Figure out how to eat without thinking about every single thing that I was putting in my mouth. So
and I can totally relate to that. You helped me train for the Arnold Classic, and I had to be a certain. It was awesome. That's right. First connected
many moons ago.
Yes, but you changed my life with my workouts, and but it's like when you're kind of geared towards a certain event, or you have to weigh a certain amount, or it becomes an obsession.
Yeah.
And you also said, which I found very interesting, the body image. Do you mind talking about that a little bit? Like, what was it about yourself that you just were not comfortable with?
It really started when I was like less than 10 years old, and just be looking on television and seeing, the thin models, the tall girls, and not really seeing anything else. And I always had an athletic frame. I was never huge, but I was never super skinny either. And I finally one time, I don't know how old I was, but maybe around 10 or so, started watching Fit TV. Just happened to be scrolling through the channels and saw some of the women on Fit TV, and I'm like, they're super in shape. They're thin. They look athletic. They have muscles, and I'm like, I remember like looking at myself in the mirror and looking at the TV. I'm like, I have that muscle. I finally found women that looked like me. So
so great.
But then puberty comes in, and
changes everything.
And even though I was at that point, I was successful in soccer, and I was a success in track, I still had this image in my head of what a female athlete should look like. And so even though I was in shape and very lean, I still, I didn't understand in my head that some of those women that I'm looking at were like 5'10" and 6'2", and I'm 5'5", 5'6" at that point. So I didn't have a healthy image of where my body was and what I could look like and should look like versus, just some ideal that was out there. So one of my very first, or two of my very first and favorite athletes were Florence Griffith Joyner and Jackie Joyner Kersey, who both were just very lean, taller than me, and just we had different body types. So for me to look at, I just thought, well, I'm running track, so I should look like them. And so I didn't have anyone to be like, no, you're your own body type. That way, so.
And I'm telling you all right now, this chick is super tough. Like, the first time I met you, and I was like, you're gonna train me? Oh my god! Like, it was just...
And I think I was like 5 months pregnant too.
I'm like, maybe you're pregnant. Oh my god, you look like that. So awesome. Well, and I think that's so helpful for like even young girls that may be listening, or even like, I think it's at any age you have this image of this is what I should look like at 30 and 40 and whatever, and it's just to break that mold.
Sure.
So thank you for feeling comfortable about talking about that.
Absolutely.
So transitioning yourself into now you're a mom, wife, and you work full time, like how's that mindset helped you or challenged you through the years?
Well, I would say after my first pregnancy with my son, everything was, I think, a lot easier in a sense and a lot clearer. Because for years, even before I was in a relationship with my early clients, I always gravitated to those who were moms, who were looking to get pregnant, who were just coming off of their pregnancy. And so I did a lot of research into exercise for, pre and post pregnancy and whatnot. And so that was always something that was super interesting to me. So when I found out I was pregnant and through my pregnancy and postpartum, I was just like, okay, now's the time to put into effect all these things that I've been
For
telling
yourself.
other women over the years. So I treated myself like an experiment.
Yeah.
That's
what we do.
Yeah, you know, got a guinea pig,
That's
you know.
right, here I am.
And so with that first pregnancy, I 6 months later, I was on a beach in a bikini, just
Oh my God.
like feeling great about life.
You looked amazing the whole, like, I'm like, girl, I hope someday when I have ever children and I can look like, and yeah, especially after, I'm like, did you keep your ab? What were you doing? Where your abs? So awesome.
And I trained all the way through that pregnancy, and I remember like having a newborn and just doing like baby squats like in the living room, like, oh, I can't wait to be able to work out again, you know. And so
cool.
that was kind of deceptive for me, because when pregnancy number 2 came around, and with pregnancy number 1, I didn't start showing until I was 5 months.
Wow.
Pregnancy number 2, it was like, 2 days later, I was like, I was showing. So and so like that, I still trained through that pregnancy. I don't think I was as regimented, and because I think I had this idea in my mind, like, oh, I can get it back. Like, I can get it back, you know.
Yep.
And it just didn't happen that way. I didn't have the energy I had.
Your body had already been through it once.
Had been through it once. It was just like, hey, we can relax for a little while.
Yeah.
And nobody warns you of the challenge of having a toddler and having a newborn at the same time.
I can only
And
imagine.
so it took me a long time to balance being a mom, being a wife, and having a new baby, and and taking care of myself in all of that. So it definitely gave me a new perspective and a better appreciation for a lot of the challenges that a lot of my mom clients would talk about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you could totally relate to what they're going through. So, like, what are your biggest hurdles now to, being healthy versus, like, whether that's working out or the meals that you make, the food that you prep, whatever it is?
Sure. For me, the biggest challenge is food. I can find time to work out. With the kids, you're up multiple times during the night. So for me to wake up at 5 in the morning is completely doable, and to go and have that hour and a half to be able to go work out. So I found a way to work fitness back into my life. But it was the nutrition component, the meals component, that was my biggest struggle. I put my husband first, and he doesn't have the cleanest diet. He likes his sweets, and he likes, he has his certain foods that he likes that I don't necessarily would recommend to have, multiple times a week. So, and he, so I would, have to keep him in mind when I'm prepping meals. And what he's eating is really not necessarily what the kids need or want either. So then they would come, next in line, and quite honestly, the kids actually probably eat the healthiest in the house, because they love fruits, they love veggies, and stuff. So I have no excuse, because it's right there, but at the same time I have to budget. So it's kind of like, do I make myself a big salad and a bunch of grilled vegetables, or do I make sure there's enough for the kids to have for today and lunch tomorrow? Because if I run out of anything, then I'm gonna have to find time to go to the grocery store. So you know what, I'm just gonna skip it, give everything to the husband and the kids, and then I'll have the scraps later. So that's been my biggest challenge, is putting me on that list somewhere, instead of just leftovers at the end. But I definitely don't have an excuse, like I said, because the kids like the healthier stuff. They like grilled chicken, they like spinach, they like, berries and stuff. So it's really the husband that I need to kind of work on a little bit more.
Right. And I think that's very common. There's always a challenge. Someone in the household that's a little more of a challenge than. I remember you telling me your son used to love like chia seed, like a mix of seeds, and I thought that was so cool. It's hard to be eating chips when your toddler is eating spinach out the bag. So it's kind of like, okay. I love that. He's the best. Oh. And I think a lot of people can relate to that idea of like you said, like I'm always telling my clients, you got to put yourself first at some point, or you can't be your best self.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it sounds like you can you're experiencing that and trying to find your way.
For sure. Even like sometimes I'm in the grocery store, it's, a lot of times it comes down to dollars and cents, and it's like, I want to buy this other stuff for myself, but I'm the only one in the house that's going to eat it. So economically, I need to get something that everybody else enjoys. So so I kind of you know kind of have to pick and choose my diet that way as well. So
you do a little bit of the compromising.
Yeah. Compromise seems to be my middle name.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said. I always have these conversations, and I know it's I'm in a different position because I don't have kids, so I can only if I did, I'd be the same situation. I'd be like I have to make sure they're good, putting the money in the right place. So totally can understand that. So you're a busy mom. You work full time.
Yes. Oh yeah, that.
Oh yeah, we haven't got to that. So tell them a little bit about what you do for your career.
Sure. So I'm a strength and conditioning coach at Syracuse University, and almost 20 years been doing that. At one point in time, I would have anywhere from 6 to 8 teams during the day. I'd be in the weight room 12, sometimes 13 hours a day, and just train team after team. When I came back off of my maternity leave with my daughter, I switched to more of a nutrition role.
Okay.
So I still have some teams in the weight room, but I run what's called the Grab and Go, which is a fueling station for our Olympic sports athletes, so they can come in and grab meals and snacks throughout the day.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm helping feed them, and then I have a few teams that I still work with in the weight room. And that's the gist of it. I try to help teams with their meal planning for when they travel. Individual athletes, if they have general questions, I help guide them in the right direction nutritionally that way. And then, like I said, with my other teams, I still have some sports that I work with in the weight room as well.
Okay, so that's odd. So that is super cool, and I think, especially being a female, like what challenges do you have? Because it seems like, and I think I read an article that Syracuse is one of the lowest female populated in this field. So do you get pushback being in your position?
I get some pushback, not in obvious ways. Being a strength coach, I never had an issue with males or females, student athletes respecting me, listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think maybe because I looked the part, and because I was an athlete through here. I had enough credentials, and when it comes down to it, they just want to be told what to do. So I never had an issue from that perspective. From other coworkers or just administratively wise, I feel like there was many times where I had a point or an issue, or that I would verbalize, but was never fully addressed or never really seen as a major concern. And for many years, I just kind of brushed it aside, didn't really think much of it. But as I started to get further along in my career and then start seeing males bring up the very same points that I brought up and get immediate action right away, or at least people to listen to them and give them a response, especially for things that I predicted and was kind of shoo-shooed and that'll never happen, and watching it come to fruition, then people be like, oh, well, how did this happen? How did nobody see it? And it's kind of like, okay.
You're like, you have interesting. So, you had that intuition. And so there's those subtle things that happen. And then when that article came out about Syracuse having such a low ratio of women to men for coaching jobs across the board, it wasn't really a shocker. I think the most shocking part was how prevalent it was throughout NCA. And then for Syracuse to be such a big school, you would think that they wouldn't be one of the leaders at the bottom. They'd be past that point.
So they've made some changes along the way. So they're trying, but we've still got a long way to go before we're even close to being. And who's saying that it doesn't have to be completely equal? But I think there was definitely there's definitely some opportunities along the way where we could have rectified that much sooner than what we did. So
whether it was just a denial or they just weren't really thinking about what they were.
And I think it's a combination of that. I think I think sometimes when you don't even recognize that there's an issue. I think that's an issue in itself.
Yes.
So hopefully the change continues.
I hope so. And then it's kind of the same with anybody with their health. It's like once you're aware of like, wait a minute, I can't eat McDonald's every day.
What? Wait a minute. What? That's a problem?
I know. Where'd my 6-pack abs go? I eat my Big Macs every day. I don't understand. So, and I give you so much credit because, all right, people, like, she's not only like strong physically, but mentally she has to be super strong. So I want to be able to support you and have people listening like find you where you're at on social media or wherever you hang out. So where is a good place or places to find you?
Sure. Livia Fit is, if you go on Twitter, that's my handle. Instagram, same thing, Livia Fit. I have a Facebook page that I'm revamping, but is still live and up. And then also my website, liviafit.com. You can find me there. That too, over the summer, is going to be undergoing a lot of change.
Nice.
So look for that. But there's some blog posts on there, different publications that I've been involved with. So you can find all that there. But Livia Fit.
Cool. Yeah.
Punch that in and you'll find me.
Well, I have to say, I'm so thankful that you were willing to do this, be my first guest on my podcast.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I just think the world of you and just like everything you do and just like all of that you've accomplished and you continue to do with, you know, your busy, crazy life. And I think it's inspiring to anyone, but especially like other moms out there that maybe were former athletes or used to, you know, train a lot or thinking that they don't have the time to do it. It's just, you know, hearing someone that's actually doing it and succeeding and teaching other people. Like, have you noticed real quick, like the athletes, when now that you have the nutrition available, have you noticed a difference in these, like how they're performing? And
absolutely. For so many years, there were a lot more complaints of athletes losing steam in the middle of workouts or just dragging around here, and especially when they have to go straight from practice to class or practice to a tutoring session and not having any resources on hand to refuel. So that's changed the whole demeanor of the athletic department as well. And for years, when kids were doing their exit interviews, when seniors were leaving, nutrition, having food available was number one on everybody's list. And now that void has been filled. And coaches say it all the time that a lot of the issues that they dealt with before aren't even brought up anymore. That's awesome. And then just being available, just being here to answer simple questions. It's not very often that I get the kids who really have serious eating or nutrition issues. It's a lot of the times it's just quick questions like, you know, what should I be eating after practice? What can I have for breakfast instead of just eggs or cereal? You know what I mean? So just being on hand and being a resource for them, I think has gone a long way in this department as well.
That's awesome. So you're seeing firsthand that it's not just the workouts, it's the nutrition and fuel that
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. And food makes everybody happy too.
Yeah, exactly. You're not hangry anymore.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to do this. And everybody, she's a busy mom. She's got to go get her son. So
that too.
So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in. And I'll see you on the next episode. And until then, be happy and be healthy.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun.
I'll definitely do it again. I could say I was like, as I'm doing this, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we have so much to chat about.
I could do like I can be a regular guest.
You want to be a
certain
regular guest?
Certain segments, yeah.
Oh my god, that was awesome. Thank you.
Oh, that was fun. Thank you.
Yes.
It's funny because one of my